Hi, so today I'm going to be showing you how to install WordPress on a Linux Ubuntu instance deployed on the Amazon Lightsail service. So this is going to be done on a server running the LAMP stack and using the MariaDB database engine. So sign into your Amazon Lightsail account and then click on the Create Instance button. Click on OS only and then select Linux Ubuntu. Choose the $10 plan, and then on the identify your instance section, set the name to the name of your website, or in my case it's just going to be my WordPress server. So once you've actually done this, just click on the create instance button to complete the Ubuntu 20.04 server deployment process. So once the server has actually been deployed, just copy the IP address for the instance and then open up the Amazon Route 53 website, service actually. So I've just actually opened up the dashboard and then click on hosted zones. So I've got a domain that I actually registered earlier on, so just click on that domain and then click on the create record button. So I'm going to create a record that actually maps a subdomain to the Ubuntu 20.04 server. So I'm going to call the record name my WordPress server, and then on the value field I'm going to paste in the public IP address for the Ubuntu instance, and then you just need to click on the create records button. So that then sets a mapping of an A record to the Ubuntu server. So go back to Lightsail, click on the name of the instance, and then click on the download default key button. So once you actually do that, what I'm actually going to do now is to change the name for this keep.a file. So I'm just going to right click on it and then select rename, and then I'm actually going to rename it to WordPress. So after doing that, open up your favorite terminal application, and then we need to change the permissions on the file to read only. So I'm going to move into my downloads directory, and then I'm going to run the command chmod 400 wordpress.pem. Then to connect to the instance is SSHI, and then append the file name for the keep.a file, and then the username, which is actually Ubuntu, at the public IP address for the instance. So I'm just going to copy that and then paste it into the terminal window. So it's asking me to verify authenticity. Just type in yes, and then should now be actually connected to the Ubuntu server. So I'm going to change to my root user account by running the command sudo su, and then the first thing that we're actually going to do is to install updates. So run the command apt update, and then that will just download essential package updates that we actually need to complete this setup. So the update process takes about a minute or so, so you just have to be patient for the process to complete. And then once it's actually done, we're going to set a custom hostname. So run the command hostname ctl set hostname, and then I'm actually going to set it to my WordPress server. So that's the hostname that I'm actually going to give it, and then just press enter. So you need to edit the etc host file. So just run that command and then type in the IP address for the server, and then I'm going to point it to my WordPress server bluesoftwebservices.com. And then once you actually do this, you then need to press Ctrl O and then Ctrl X. So it can be your subdomain or a domain name that you've registered, whatever it is that you've got. You just need to specify it where I've actually specified mine. The next thing that we're actually going to do is to install the LAMP stack, some software dependencies, and then to also download the WordPress onto the Ubuntu server. So I've got a document that I've actually written up that can guide you through this installation, and I'll actually include a link in the video description to where you can actually download that document. But I actually have it open now, so I'm going to change to my root user by running command sudo su, and then let me just check in the document the first command, which is actually apt install Apache 2. So just type in Y and then press enter. And then the next thing that we need to do is to install MariaDB. So just wait for the Apache installation process to complete, and then once it's done, we're then going to download the MariaDB package. I think the setup for the Apache web server should be done right about now, and then I am then going to install MariaDB. Should be done right about now. I'm not sure. It's actually processing some stuff right now. Okay, this is taking longer than usual. Okay, so it's done. Okay, come on. There you go. There you go. So I'm now installing MariaDB, and then just type in Y and then press enter. So after that, you now need to complete the MySQL secure installation process. This just secures your MySQL setup from unattended or unwanted access. So once the MariaDB installation process is done, we're actually then going to run that command to protect our MySQL server. Okay, so just clear your screen and then just paste in that command. So it's asking us if to type in a password, but there's no password. So just type in no when it says set a root password. That's if you don't want to set a password, but I highly recommend that you do set a password. And then on the other prompts, you just need to type in Y. So the next thing is to install PHP. So actually, let me actually set Apache 2 to start up automatically, and then install PHP. So just type in Y and then press the enter. And then the next thing to do is to install some PHP modules that are needed by WordPress. So just copy the command I'm copying now and then paste it into the Linux terminal or the Ubuntu terminal. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the PHP installation to complete, and then I'm now going to install the PHP extensions. Type in Y and then press enter. And then once that's done, you now need to also then restart the Apache web server so that the changes that we've actually made and the installations that we've actually done for the PHP extensions can actually be recognized by the Apache web server software. So once that's done, the next thing you need to do is to edit the Apache 2.conf configuration file, and then to set the name of your server. So I'm actually going to set the name to my WordPress server so that you don't run into any issues when you then try to restart the Apache service. So I'm just going to set it to server name and then my WordPress server. So here you need to type in whatever your domain name is, or whatever you've got, or whatever subdomain you've got. You just type it in there and then press Ctrl O and then press Ctrl X. So the next thing to do is to run a configuration test. So just copy that command and then paste it into the Ubuntu terminal. So just paste that in and you should get a syntax OK response. So the next thing that we're actually going to do is to create the database that is going to be used by WordPress. So just copy and paste that command and then copy and paste the command for creating the database as I am doing now, and then just paste it into the MariaDB shell and press enter. Copy the next command to create a user and to grant permissions as needed by that user, and then just paste it into the Ubuntu terminal. And then the final thing is to flush privileges and then to then exit out of the MariaDB shell. So I've exited out, and then let me just clear my screen. And then what we're actually going to do is to edit the default Apache configuration file and to set it to allow, I'm just going to edit the default configuration file instead of creating a new virtual hosts file. So I'm just going to make a change here that will actually allow WordPress to load up correctly. So you need to add a directive in the configuration file that allows, it's a parameter called allow override all. So actually WordPress needs that parameter to be present in your virtual host configuration file. So I'm just going to put that in and then press Ctrl O and then press Ctrl X. So once you've actually done that, you then need to run the command sudo aen mode rewrite, and then you just run that command. Let me just make a correction there, and then you need to run the command systemctl restart Apache 2 for the changes we've done to take effect. So once you've done that, the next thing is to run another configuration test just to make sure that we've done the right thing. And as you can see, we've got a syntax OK response. So change your working directory to the temp directory. So you're just going to be using that directory to download WordPress 2. So just change to temp and then paste in the command to download WordPress using the curl utility. You can even use wget or curl. Both applications or packages can achieve the same results. And then we're then going to create a .htaccess file that WordPress also needs. So I'm just going to create that .htaccess file. And then the next thing is to then copy the WordPress configuration file, and then I'm going to create a directory for WordPress system upgrades. So whenever WordPress runs an update, it needs that directory to be present. And then I'm then going to copy the WordPress files to the var www html directory. Once that's done, let me just change my working directory to the HTML directory, and then as you can see, all the WordPress files are actually present. So let me just remove the default index.html file that Apache creates when you install it. Then I'm going to change the permissions for that directory to the www data user. And then I'm going to set some permissions that are needed by WordPress. So you need to make sure you set these permissions for security reasons. So there's just two commands that set some WordPress files to permission level 750 and permission level 640. And once you've done that, you now need to then run a command that will then generate some secure access keys that are also needed by WordPress. So just copy those encryption keys and then open up the WordPress wconfig.php file. So I'm just going to paste that in, and then you now need to then configure your database settings in this file. So during the database creation process, I think I set the database to WordPress DB. That's the name I actually gave it. Let me just type in WordPress DB, and then I also set the WordPress user to WordPress user, but I recommend that you set something that is much more difficult to guess for security reasons. So I'm just going to type in my WordPress username as well as the password that I actually set during my setup and configuration process. So once you've actually done that, you now need to then paste in the keys that we generated earlier. So just copy and paste them in, and then once you've actually done that, just press Ctrl O and then press Ctrl X. Okay, so the next thing that I need to do is to open up HTTPS port 443. I'm just going to open up that port, in the Amazon Lightsail IPv4 file. So because you for secure communications you need that. And then open up a new tab and then type in the URL for your WordPress website, and then you just need to follow the steps as you can see what I'm actually doing now. So this is sort of like the famous post installation wizard. So I'm actually typing in my password now, and then I also recommend that you set a valid email there so that if you forget your password you can actually recover it. So once you've actually made your selections, just click on install WordPress and then click on login. Type in your username and your password, and then you now need to click on login. So for the most part we've been able to set up WordPress, but there's one more thing that you need to do, which is to protect the WordPress website with a free Letsencrypt SSL certificate. So what I need you to do is to open up your SSH client, and then you need to download the certbot Python utility. So just copy and paste that command, and then copy the second command that would then actually do the SSL certificate requesting and generation process. So I'm just going to clear my screen and then install the certbot. Actually not install, but to request for the certificate for the domain I'm actually typing in now. So I'm actually going to get a free SSL certificate by running that command. So you just need to type in an email that will be associated with the Letsencrypt certificate, and then we need to agree with the terms of the service. Just type in A and press Enter. So once you've made those responses, you'll now see that the certbot script is now requesting for the certificate, and then the next thing to do is just to check. So let me just reload the WordPress dashboard, and as you can see, you'll see a change on where it says not secure. It will change to a lock icon, as you can see what is actually done. So that marks the end of this tutorial. Hope this tutorial has been informative. I'd like to thank you so much for watching.